Hello and welcome to another edition of People Make a Difference, a presentation of California State University, Dominguez Hills. I am your host, Danny Brassell, and this is the show where we celebrate the positive contributions of individuals throughout our community. And it is my joy and pleasure to have with me one such individual today. I'm so happy to have with me Dr. Jerome Vincent Carter, who is a character education leader and a very good friend of mine. Thank you for coming today,
Thanks
Jerome.
for having me, Danny.
So
Thanks.
tell us all about Jerome Carter. Tell us about Inspiration 52. What's Inspiration 52, your character education program?
Inspiration 52 is exactly that, Danny, a character education program. It's amazing how it started, Danny. I was writing poetry for my students years ago, and I was working with LA County Office of Education, court school, camp schools, probation schools. I just wanted to motivate, inspire, and really connect with, redirect, and empower students. So
What grade level was this?
This was a two-room schoolhouse over on Crenshaw and Potomac, really close to Crenshaw and Jefferson, a two-room schoolhouse. And so middle and high school.
Great.
And so I would motivate, challenge, and inspire them through poetry each week. So I started writing poetry, message poetry as I call it, not just moon and star stuff. I don't like the moon and star stuff. I mean, the moon and stars are great, we need them, but I'm more interested in the message in the poetry. Who am I? Where am I going? The choices I make. I will become a success. You always succeed when you try. And so for 2.5 years, I work with my students. Each week, that's where the 52 comes from, and I wanted to inspire them. And so I literally saw their lives change before my eyes, and it was like, wow. And one of the students said, Mr. Carter, you know, you should maybe put your poetry in a book and offer it to the world. And I've always wanted to write a book, and I thought about it as well. So it was kind of like confirmation for a student to say that, whose life was changed as a result of Inspiration 52. And so from there, we created the book. My wife and I, we started a publishing company, and then from there, we had our first book. Then I went to some of the administrators I had worked with in various school districts and shared with them what I was doing and how poetry was changing lives. And they pretty much said this is what they've been looking for, something like this to motivate all students. So,
well, and how many students have you worked with so far through Inspiration 52? Because you've done a whole lot.
Yeah, for years, the past 8 years.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, at least 100,000 plus.
100,000 plus.
I'm sure over the.
Well, you've also kind of created a dream team that goes around to these different schools. Tell us a little bit about. I mean, I speak for you. I'm like the Jim Carrey of the bunch, though.
I was gonna say one of my favorite
the pale
speakers
guy.
is Dr. Danny Brassell.
Tell us about all your other speakers, because you go around. You really focus on predominantly African American schools, but also Latinos students in the inner city. Tell us about some of the people on your dream team.
And so with the dream team, and we call it our Inspiration 52 Team Success, History in the Making. And it's interesting, Danny, because you said we've worked with African American students in inner city schools, but then we were also contracted out one year with UC Irvine and their Gifted Student Academy. And so we took the dream team out there and shared with them. From the dream team, African American, Latino, Asian, Caucasian, we work with everybody. And it's really effective when they see that you have movie producers and movie stars, you have pro athletes, women pro athletes, basketball, male pro athletes, football, actors, educators like us, writers. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
Well,
pretty diverse.
You see it on the eyes of the kids when they encounter everybody. Yeah. So you also talked about that you and Tracy create a publishing company. I mean, we're going to get back to Inspiration 52, but I'd like to, before I forget, talk a little bit about your publishing company and what you're doing to help educate other people on how they can do what you've done.
It's been a joy, Danny, to start the publishing company, and we've published at least 10 to 20 different authors. Individuals who've had a dream of publishing a book, writing a book, didn't know where to start, didn't know how to finish, had finished but didn't know what step to take after that. So we share with them from concept to completion how to write the book, how to start, and then how to go ahead and get it published through their publishing company, or we'll walk them hand in hand as they create their own publishing company. And so if you have any of your guests who are interested in writing a book and didn't know how, or would like to, I believe, Danny, everybody has a book inside of them. I mean, our stories are so unique, they're so different, but they're also the same. whether you're from Peoria, Illinois, or you're from inner city LA, or you're from Denver, Colorado, or Pueblo, Colorado, Trinidad, Colorado, or Hawaii. I mean, when you tell your story, you tell your ups and downs, your struggles. I mean, everybody can relate. When I first wrote my book, I didn't think anybody could relate to the message poetry that I had. Now I have thousands of readers, thousands of followers. I say, man, this book has changed my life. I remember I was working at an elementary school in LAUSD, and so all the students get a copy of my book, and I go and do a monthly or a weekly reading and just reflection with the students. So I get there, this little girl says, hey, Mr. Carter, a Caucasian girl, a little Caucasian girl, says, Mr. Carter, I need a new book. What do you mean you need a new book? I mean, everybody has a book. You got to keep up with your stuff. I'm sorry, you know, Sally, you got to keep up with your stuff. I said, no, Mr. Carter, you don't understand. She said, my dad took my book. He's been reading it. He said it's changed his life. He takes it to his 12-step program. Oh, wow. And when I told him, yeah, and she said, when I told him you were coming today to visit, he asked me to ask you, do you have any other books, because he wants to purchase them all. So he wants to invest in them all. So I'm like, wow. So here's a book for you since your dad took your book. And so it's just stories like that. We have thousands of followers, but initially I didn't think anybody would be interested in what I had to say and what I had to write. So through the publishing company, we believe everybody has a book inside of them, and you'll be surprised the people that you relate to that draw strength and encouragement from your life, because they can relate to it as well.
Well, that's interesting, because your father said it worked with his 12-step program. I mean, you're Inspiration 52, so you have poetry every week, but you have 12 principles of success that you've based the book around. Can you talk a little bit about those 12 principles? Because it obviously had an impact on this girl's father.
Yeah, it was really almost a tear-jerking moment. And I've had quite a few of those since I've started this. I'm so glad that I had the courage to do something about the dream and desire that was inside of me. And you know, Danny, we're both educators. I think we both started in Compton Unified School District. So just to have the courage to get it out and then to see the results. So I really want to let the viewers know that, you know, don't hesitate. Get it done now. As our mentor would tell us, get stuff done fast. Get it done now. And so we did tie it in with the 12 principles of success. Why 12? Because it's 12 steps to everything, 12 months in a year, 12 disciples. So we stopped at 12. So we stopped at 12, Danny. And we start with believing in yourself. Our first principle talks about how to believe in yourself. And our principles reinforce the poetry, or the poetry reinforce the principles. So for principle number 1, it talks about believing in yourself. And so if you're teaching students, or if you're working with your own kids, or you're working with your corporation, and you want them to believe in themselves, believe in the product, then you start with principle number 1. The poems that go with principle number 1 are be yourself, the world is waiting for your gift, be the difference, and then someone saw something in me that I didn't even see. So you go through those 4 different poems, and it reinforces the principle number 1. You have a special gift to offer to the world. Recognize it, understand it, cultivate it, and then give it. So,
are these all poems that you wrote, or
all poems that I've written?
And what about you know, I've been looking for the follow-up book. Why don't you make a book just entirely of the kids' poems?
We've published student poems before. In our book, there are a few student poems in there, but yeah, and that's long overdue, Danny. You're absolutely right. These kids have wrote some amazing stories, or sort of like the Freedom Writers, with what Aaron Gruwell did, and so students are asking for it. I've been collecting them. So I just need to do it, but the stories that we hear from the students are incredible. So real quickly, the 12 principles of success. Number 1 is believing in yourself. Number 2 has to do with responsibility. 3 has to do with effort. 4 has to do with our present choices, how they affect us presently. 5, our present choices, how they affect our future. 6 is dreaming big. 7 is maturity. 8 is dealing with adversity. 9 is getting along with everyone. 10 is dealing with pain and still being able to move forward in life. 11 is learning from mistakes. Then 12, of course, today is the day I choose to change. It's my decision. It is my destiny.
I can't believe you remember those all off the top of your head. I mean, I was like,
absolutely.
That's unbelievable. That's a gift right
absolutely.
there.
And so within the book, you have the poetry, you have the 12 principles of success. And so now, Danny, we started initially working with school districts. So now we work with group homes. We work with juvenile hall. We work with probation camps. We work with gifted programs. We work with AVID programs. We have a program for seniors, which we're rolling out right now, and it's 10 things every senior needs to know before they go to college.
I love that. I think that's great. Well, okay, so take us through this. If a school wants to invest in your services, what can they expect to receive from you?
Well, if they invest in my services, I mean, we over-deliver. The value, I bring in my celebrity guest speakers, sort of like yourself.
No, celebrity. I'm a good filler.
And so I bring in my guest speakers. They receive all type of, they receive a book, they receive bookmarks, they receive quote cards, they receive the reminder bands, they receive complimentary seminars, and we follow up all throughout the year. It's not just here you are, see you later. And we've trained hundreds of teachers on how to use a program. And so we have hundreds of teachers.
So you train the teachers, and then you still also work with the kids.
And then
as
we
well.
also, that's part of it.
Do you do anything right now with administrators?
Well, we're not doing anything currently with administrators. Administrators we love our administrators. They get us in the door to work with the teachers. Without the administrators, we couldn't get on the school campus and work with the teachers. So I'm very thankful for the administrators. We're looking to do something with the administrators and
what about
teachers.
The parents?
And parents, yes, we do something.
That'd be great.
We do something as well with the parent. We have our parent empowerment seminars, and we take the parents through our 12 principles of success. And I bring in other qualified speakers like yourself that would come in and work with the parents and teach them everything they need to know to make sure their son or daughter is going to be successful in school.
You're such a great positive influence, Jerome. I always love being around you because I'm always better the rest of the day after I talk to you. Tell us about your childhood and your upbringing, because I want to hear where all this positivity came from.
I mean, it's amazing, Danny, and with us, with both of us being husbands and fathers, it comes from the home. I remember growing up, and although I grew up in LA, inner city, we were poor, but we didn't know it because there was so much love in the house. My dad went to work every day, and he came home every night, which is huge.
Yeah.
Came home to his family every night. It was 8 of us, 6 boys and 2 girls, my mom and dad. My mom stayed at home. She was a stay-at-home mom, obviously, with 8 kids. And so dad went to work, and just growing up in LA, but education was a priority. Such a priority, you know, back in those days, they would skip students from grades because kids were, I would say the kids in my family were really smart. Thanks to mom and dad.
Yep.
We had homework, fun activities on the weekend before we could go outside. We had our chores. So just growing up like a regular kid, playing Little League baseball and basketball, and you know, going to the park.
I liked how you say growing up like a regular kid, because it's not so regular anymore.
It's not so regular anymore. You know, common sense is not common practice, especially within our families. But just growing up with my brothers and sisters, I had 3 older brothers, and it was me. So I'm in the middle. Then my 2 younger sisters, my 2 younger brothers. Just growing up, taking care of them, being with them, loving my mom and dad. And 2 of my older brothers, the 2 next to me, they went from kindergarten. When they went to the school, a small school called 36th Street School, which is now renamed to Birdie Lee Bright after a great woman. And they went from kindergarten to the 2nd grade. The school said, well, you know, your kids are they're on such a level, we're not going to waste time in the 1st grade with them. I mean, how amazing is that? That your kids, when your kid would go to kindergarten and say, look, your kid, it would be a waste of time for them to go to 1st grade, so we're going to just put them in 2nd grade. But then you get to social issues where now they're a year older, a year younger than their peers. So
tough on the basketball team. Tell us a little bit about your basketball, because you play.
Yeah, I played basketball. I have 2 claim to fames with basketball, and that's when I was in the 9th grade at Fauché Junior High School. I was recruited to go to the great Crenshaw High School to play basketball. And I'll never forget, I hit 2 free throws. I believe it was no time on the clock. To either send the game in overtime or to win it. I can't remember which one. And
we'll say to win it.
Yeah, it's to win the game, yeah. And the coach from Crenshaw High School, he came to me as Joe Weekly. He was assistant coach, been there for years. And he pulled me to the side after the game. He said, I really want you to consider coming to Crenshaw and playing basketball for me. I mean, at that time, they had John L. Williams. They had all these guys coming out of Crenshaw that were just, you know, Marcus Johnson that went to Crenshaw.
Almost a semi-pro team.
Durrell Strawberry. I mean, all these guys. And
Eric Davis, all those guys.
These guys had won championships. And so here I am being asked by the coach, man, I really want you to come and play basketball. But I decided I went to Man Yards High School and played baseball. But that was one claim to fame for basketball. And then My senior year at Loyola Marymount University, I went out for the basketball team, made it up to the last cut. That was Coach Westhead, Paul Westhead, who's still a good friend of mine.
Oh,
and I had the great fortune of playing with guys like Hank Gathers and who unfortunately died on the court. And yesterday it was 1990, so yesterday I guess it was 22 years that he had passed away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
it was
that
March,
long ago?
yeah, March
Gee.
4th, 1990, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Everybody will remember Bo Kimball with the left-handed
Yeah, with the
free
left-handed
throws.
free throw. Yeah, Bo Kimball's still a great friend of mine.
You know,
Corey
Paul Westhead and
Gaines.
you, you two got to get along with his background in Shakespeare and years in poetry. You guys gotta just be
we need to
quoting back and
reconnect. Yeah,
forth.
we need to reconnect that thing. So,
Uh-huh.
but I ran into Coach not too long ago, and just a big hug. Say, man, give me a call. Let's go to lunch. And then Corey Gaines. I look on the bench of the Phoenix Suns, and there's Corey. He's coaching. He's the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury. And he also won a championship with Coach Westhead. So I guess Coach Westhead is one of the only coaches that's won an NBA championship. He won it with the Lakers in 1980 with Magic Johnson, Magic's first year when Magic played center. When Kareem was hurt, that's Coach Westhead. Nobody ever forget, but don't forget the coach. That was Coach Westhead. And then he won it with the Phoenix Mercury. So he has an NBA championship ring and a WNBA championship ring, and he's a good friend of mine. So those are my claim and claim to fame with basketball, and then also with the other guys, Jeff Fryer and Chris Nikovich, were just some great guys, man. I mean, I work out with these guys in practice. We go to the sand dunes hills, and I guess that's Manhattan Beach, and run the sand dunes. And it's just amazing because we talk to kids who want to be athletes, but man, we ran before practice. Then we practiced. We ran and hit the weights before practice. Then we practiced. Then we ran and hit the weights after practice. Then we're supposed to study and all that. It really takes some discipline, and the youngsters need to know it just doesn't happen. If you don't focus in and be serious about your studying and about your the discipline of your mind, body, and spirit, it's tough. And then it's no guarantees, as we all know.
Now, do you think that discipline is something? I'm trying to figure out what got you into education, because you went to LMU and then you got your master's degree from Cal State Dominguez Hills. You're a proud Toro, just like me. And then you got your administrative credential from Cal State Long Beach. But what drove you to enter the field of education as a teacher?
It's like a calling. I loved it. It was put into my heart as a kid. I mentioned I have my two younger brothers, my two younger sisters. And so just growing up, I just love kids. I love educating kids. I love working with kids. It was my mom and dad just made it such a positive experience to have a family and to invest in the life of others. So when I was coming out of LMU with a business degree, I said, well, I really have to think about what I want to do. And so then I took the CBES and got my emergency credential. And I started seeing where I could work in Compton Unified. I remember Joe Simmons. He was the, I guess, the superintendent or HR guy there. He said, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. And he said, I know this guy who would love you. He sent me over to Wilson Rouse Elementary School, 4th grade with the great Mr. Ernest Cash. And so that's when my teaching career started over 25 years ago now. And just fantastic. I mean, I loved it. But I was hooked, and I wanted to teach and coach. I coached a couple of years at St. Bernard's. I coached baseball and football at St. Bernard's High School. Another claim to fame, one of my players, Royce Clayton, we called him Royce Clayton, was signed by the San Francisco Giants right out of St. Bernard's. And then he spent at least 18 years in the major leagues. And just right out of St. Bernard's. And but in high school, I mean, he would save us probably 8 runs a game. Because it's up the middle. No, it's not. Royce throws a guy out. He was the best pitcher on the team, but he saved us 8 runs a game by playing shortstop. Man, this guy was great. Amazing. Yeah.
Well, so you're obviously a sports enthusiast. We're hearing it right now. So tell me, do you have any sports-related poems that you like?
Yes, I do. I have one poem. Well, actually 2 poems. One is "The Game Is Not Over," and so speaks to the game of life, comparing life to a game. And regardless of what happens in your life, the poem is trying to hint that it's just halftime. And so a game is never over at halftime. And Danny, we played sports before. And I mean, I remember playing and being down at halftime, maybe 16, 17 points, and then coming back and winning the game. So the game is not over. I love comparing that to life. and just sports in life, because even though you're down, I don't care what it looks like, what is halftime for is to regroup, it's to strategize with the coach. And so it's to figure out a strategy on how we can win this game, although we're losing right now. And so same thing in life. I mean, you know, we all go through tough times, but life is not over. So what is halftime for? So I need to think about who's my coach, mentors, accountability partners I can call and can talk to, good people like yourself, Danny. I'm trying to navigate my way through this. How can I win at this? And so you need people in your life like that, whether it's a coach, whether it's a parent, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a counselor or a principal. And when you sit down, you realize that my best years are actually ahead of me, especially for our youngsters, because they deal with a lot. They deal with a lot that we didn't have to deal with growing up. Some things yes and some things no. But it could be pretty depressing. And at 16, there's no reason to be depressed, because your best years are truly ahead of you.
Okay, so let's talk about what's ahead for you.
Well, ahead for me, I want to continue writing. I have 15 new poems that I've just written. Well, I can't say I've just written, but within the last year. And I need to get them into my book. I thought about a volume 2, but I want to just put them all in the volume 1. I'm working on another book with my wife on relationships, which is titled How to Make Your Marriage Last Longer Than the Wedding. And so
I love that title.
Yeah, after 25 years of marriage, it's just some things that you pick up, and you realize that your marriage goes through seasons. I'm also going to write the book, Danny, on the 12 Principles of Success. So I'm working on that. So I want to make that a book in addition to the poetry as well. And I want to continue speaking and touching the lives of as many youth as I can.
You're also a minister. I haven't even talked about that. Tell us a little bit about how your teaching informs your ministry.
Well, I'm inspired, by God to teach, to connect, and redirect, and empower. And even this morning, God gave me an idea for a book. So I would like to really step into the Christian arena and encourage those of us that are believers. But it's based on Exodus 13 and 14, and it's when they're in the wilderness, where it says God led them into the wilderness. Sometimes God can lead you into the wilderness to set you up for a miracle, and that's right when he parted the Red Sea. And so you could be in the wilderness, you could be in a place where you're broken and barren and desperate and despondent, and that could be your wilderness. But it's really God just setting you up for a miracle. So the title of it is When, W-H-E-N, When in the Wilderness, You Can Win, W-I-N, in the wilderness. So when you're in the wilderness, you can win. So I'd like to use my platform as a pastor to get the positive message out to any and all that will listen. So I love writing. So that's a new book I'm working on.
I like it.
So,
it's a good idea.
Because we all go through the wilderness experience, especially nowadays.
Tell us about your wilderness experience. What was your wilderness experience?
My wilderness experience, growing up in L.A. and dealing with the gangs, the drugs, and seeing my best friend killed on campus at school.
Wow.
And
how old were you?
I was 17 at the time. Yeah, that was Tuesday, February 10th, 1981. So that was over 31 years ago. And I was 17, and it was the worst day of my life, but it turned into the best day of my life because it caused me to evaluate, reflect on, and to change my life. And so that was one of my wilderness experiences. And it just, as you get older, you see how life just goes through the different seasons. My sister passing away from cancer, my dad passing away from cancer, my brother passing away from HIV. So as you go through those, and your family, you're a real close, tight-knit family, and then it makes you realize how special and delicate and precious life is. And so now, my wilderness experiences just taught me to appreciate people, appreciate life, and appreciate the moments of life, because you just never know what a day might bring. And so, so through the wilderness, you can still win, you can still help others, and it's not a reason to give up. So through my wilderness experience, that's what I've learned, man. Value your time, value the people in your life, and don't give up, and make a difference.
We're running low on time, but I want to, what's the last message you'd like to give to our audience? What's the one thing you want audiences and students to grasp from all of your presentations?
That life is a beautiful thing. Life's a journey. It's an incredible journey through the ups and downs, but it's beautiful. And it's about the relationships that you make along the way. And then what you've been given, go back and give it to somebody else to make their life better and to make a difference. That's what I do. Every day I try and make someone else's life better, whether it's my wife, whether it's my kids, whether it's my business partner, Danny Brassell, or whether it's the students that I'm going to speak to today. somebody's life is going to be better because they encountered me today. And so I just want them to know that your life counts and people are waiting for you to make a difference in their life.
Well, you certainly have made a difference in my life, Jerome. You're actually a master of, I've always heard it's called the Chamberlain-Disraeli paradox, that when people would speak to Prime Minister Chamberlain, they came away thinking he was the most interesting person they had ever met. But when they met Prime Minister Disraeli, they'd come away thinking they were the most interesting person he had ever met.
Right,
Thank you for
right.
always making me feel like I must be somewhat interesting. You're a great person to be around. I really appreciate it. The website is inspiration52.com. It's Jerome Vincent Carter. His products are wonderful. As you can see, he is a very positive person.
And Danny, have them send me they can send me a text message, give me their email address, and I'll send them a free gift and letting them know that they heard about
Free
me.
gift. You can't even. That also tells us about our viewership here, and people make a difference. There are amazing people out there every day that make a difference. If you know anybody who would like to be profiled on a future edition of People Make a Difference, please feel free to email me at my website, DannyBrassell.com. It's spelled like bras. Sell. Pretty easy to remember. Folks, there are people out there having a positive impact on society every single day. You can too. Thank you for joining us this week. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you.